Two extremely hot topics right now in our society are anxiety and depression. You see it on Twitter, you see it on YouTube, everybody's talking about it. And one of the reasons why I wanted to start a channel was because I wanted to talk about problems that real people deal with and bring solutions to help you find a new way of living. And so this video and next week's video are going to be about anxiety, and then next week's will be about depression. I want to preface the whole thing with saying I'm not a psychiatrist. I don't have all the answers figured out. I simply want to come from my own learnings and discovery through my experiences and talking with different people to help us find this new way of living that can help us walk in freedom. And I believe that that's there for both of us. And so again, these are just my stories and my discoveries from talking to different people. So I grew up not really knowing that I struggled with anxiety. If you would have asked me this 10 years ago, I would have said, no, I don't struggle with it. I knew people that struggled with it, and it was debilitating. Like, it was just crippling them. They couldn't function, they couldn't relate to people, they couldn't do anything really. And I always kind of looked at them differently because I didn't feel like I struggled with that, and I couldn't really relate. I was so stupid. Then I got married, and it was like a light bulb went off in my mind. Like, there was clarity like never before, and finally I had somebody else that didn't know me from as a kid speaking into my life saying, hey, this is a problem and this is an issue in your life. Do you see it? And honestly, whenever Bree would tell me that, I'd be like, no, I don't deal with that. Again, if you'd have asked me this 10 years ago, I'd have said no way. But now it's like, I absolutely know that I struggle with anxiety and I have to fight it every day. So if you're watching this right now, I'm not some talking head that doesn't know what you're experiencing or what you maybe walked through in the past. I've been there, I'm walking through it now, and I hope to be able to offer you some perspective that can help you walk on this journey too. I read a book last year called My Name is Hope. I'll leave it in the comment section below so that you can find it. It's a phenomenal book that helped me kind of process all the things that I was thinking and feeling. And isn't it weird about anxiety that you get anxious about your anxiety? Like, you don't know why you're anxious, and so it just makes you more anxious, and it just kind of keeps building on this snowball of momentum to where it's like, what in the world? I totally get that. For me, anxiety has made me feel like two ways. Number one, it made me feel like my world was made of glass, so that everything I said and everything that I did, it had to be perfect, and if it wasn't perfect, then my world was gonna come crashing down. That's how I felt. Second one was that my world was spiraling out of control. That my family, my work, just everything was spiraling out of control around me, and I was just hoping to grab onto something that I could just control. And as I was going through this process and discovering the last 2 years, I've talked to several people, and they've all kind of shared this opinion or this knowledge with me. How small does your world have to be if you are so obsessed with controlling it? That's the first thing they said. And the second thing is they said, how low is your view of God to think that you have to control everything? Now, what I'm about to say maybe isn't a popular opinion, and that's okay. So I humbly submit this to you, not as an expert, but as somebody that has, again, discovered and learned. I don't believe that you have chosen to be anxious. I didn't choose to be anxious. I didn't choose to be on that wheel of anxiety that just kept spinning faster and faster in this downward spiral. I didn't choose that. I didn't choose to have nights where I couldn't sleep because I was worrying about everything. I didn't choose to be obsessed about finances or to be obsessed about relationships or to harp on every little thing that happened around me. I didn't choose that. That just happened. I didn't have control of that. But what I believe you do have control of is getting out. You maybe didn't choose to put yourself in this position, but you do have a choice to walk out of it. And it is a long, painful road. Like, honest, transparent with you, it is not an easy road. It's not the funnest thing, but the reward is well worth it. There's a story in Matthew chapter 6 where the disciples, which are Jesus' followers, are listening to Jesus kind of talk about what their future is going to be. And then they start asking him, well, where are we going to eat? Where are we going to sleep? What are we going to wear? What are we going to do? And if you've read that story, you can kind of feel the anxiety coming from them. And Jesus makes this statement that I have come back to time and time and time again over the last couple years that has just been a pillar for me, almost like an anchor for my soul. He says, don't you know that your heavenly Father takes care of the birds of the air, the grass of the field? He makes sure they're fed, makes sure they're covered, makes sure it's all good. How much more will he take care of you and me, his kids that he loves? How much more will he make sure that we're okay? And the more that I've kind of come to that understanding, what I've learned about anxiety is this new way of living and walking through it is learning how to relinquish the control that we obsess over and start trusting him. I know it's easier said than done, and it's pretty cliche. I get it. Save those comments for later. I understand. But I promise you, if we can just boil it down to the simplest thing, the simplest part that you need to know of this video is that if you want to start walking out of anxiety, the first thing you're going to have to do is start practicing relinquishing control and trusting God. That your Heavenly Father loves you, that he cares about you more than you could ever imagine, and what he started in your life, he'll bring to fulfillment. Simply trust him. I'm not saying that to say that you're going to trust him one day and it's all going to be finished. You're going to have to choose to trust him every day, sometimes 100 times a day. A statement that I've started saying over me, people that are in my life and my family, is I just simply say, I'm going to choose Jesus today. I have a choice where I can choose anxiety and I can feed it and make this cycle even worse than it was before, or I have the possibility of choosing Jesus, which is going to require me walking through some things and answering some difficult questions. But if I choose him, on the other side is peace. If I choose him, on the other side is joy. If I choose him, on the other side is just solitude for my soul. So I want to encourage you today, wherever you are in this journey of anxiety, maybe you've been through it, maybe you're right in the middle of it. Choose Jesus, relinquish control, and trust him. It's for your good.